If you tell me your client is everybody, I want to slap.
I don't like to typically read through the bio, but there's a few good things that I wanted to call out. Kyle, he has 30 years of experience building, owning, and operating multiple businesses. He is positioned and marketed and managed artists, musicians, startups, corporations, nonprofits, local, nationwide businesses, restaurants, I believe are on that list as well. Kyle Building has won over 30 business marketing awards, including 6 IABC-OKC awards, which is fantastic. Congratulations on that. And then what I think is really great that I wanted to call out is that he's also featured in the February 2016 issue of Entrepreneur Magazine. So I'm really excited about today's speaker. And Kyle, please go ahead and tell us more about yourself. Well, Kyle.
To make it easy for me to not tell you, so when I talk today about our brand story, we're talking about the overall concept of a brand. If you work in-house, then the brand is the business you work for. If you're an agency, when we say brand, we're talking about the client and their brand, right? If you own your own business, you are your brand. So when I say brand, that's what I mean. And when I say product, I mean product or service. It could be a widget, it could be consulting, it could be cars. So we'll do that so that I don't have to do the if, ands, and whatnots the whole time, okay? Human beings are not wired to be sold to. Human beings do not like when someone tries to force them to buy something that they don't necessarily need or at the wrong price or the wrong time, etc. Human beings are wired to pay attention to and enjoy stories. Human beings' brains love to hear a story, and they love to figure out how they can fit inside that story. So, as professional communicators, we absolutely should be paying attention to that. Used car salesmen are concerned about selling cars on their lot today for the maximum benefit of them. They have no care about the person walking onto the lot that needs a car. So they use tactics like being aggressive, about telling you you won't get a deal somewhere else, about talking about what's great about this car and not what you need as a consumer. Then of course there's the whole, let me go ask my boss, I'm making a special deal for you. All the things that we see through as consumers, right? And of course the reason people don't like to be sold that way is you know it's false. You know they're doing that to benefit their sales numbers and not to benefit you. Even though you might need a car or want a car, you want them to be treated in an equitable way when you go into a situation like that. So, why would your marketing do the same thing? Why would you put out marketing that is just focused on how it benefits you to sell the product or service? Because people don't like that. They don't want that. They want to hear a story about your product, about your business, etc. Why would your marketing be focused like a used car salesman when it should be telling your brand story and creating relationships with customers who want to come back to you time and time again? Because what happens when you buy a used car? Buyer's remorse. If you go somewhere and you have a transaction that you don't feel is equitable, you definitely don't want to go back. You definitely don't want to tell other people they should go. But if you have a relationship with a business entity, you want to go back. You want to take your friends with you. You want to talk about it. You want to brag about it. Then you become an asset for the business. So, as people who manage brands, we should always be focused on telling a story, not trying to sell products. The reason that we do that is the truth will set you free. A true story and a real story that actually relates to what you do. Why it's different than other people who do similar things, and why particular individuals would be interested in engaging you, is the strongest asset you can have. It's so much stronger than a slick ad campaign. It's definitely stronger than, hey, buy it today, yell at you, have a big inflatable out front of the place, a big banner, right? All those things are small little tactics that people pay attention to, but then they move on down the road because their brain doesn't want it. But knowing your story, knowing why a business exists, knowing the story of the founder, knowing what it is about that product that's unique or brings value to you as the consumer, makes it interesting to you, and once it becomes interesting, your brain wants to know more. And so as professional communicators, Our focus should be putting the story in front of our consumer and not putting selling points in front of the consumer. When I say brand story, I'm not just talking about what you think is brand. There's the logo, there's the cutline, there's the color scheme, there's your website, there's all this stuff. That's the starting of a brand story. A brand story is where it comes from, what it is, and how it exists in the world, and why it's interesting and unique. Brand story could be the type of employees you have, the history that you have. It could be why you exist in Oklahoma as opposed to Texas, or how you left something else to start this if you're a startup or an entrepreneur. People love entrepreneur stories. People love startup stories. Amazingly, startups right now get really focused on, especially in the tech industry, what their tech is. People would really much rather hear the entrepreneur story as to why you made this, how you left that job you made, and you didn't feel like you were giving back to society. You created this thing, and now you're doing it. You're employing people, and you've created things that are better for people in the world. That's a more interesting story than download this app. It's only 99 cents and it does X, Y, and Z. The story is not also, isn't just text, isn't just language, isn't just how you talk about the company. It's the tone you use. It's the attitude you use in your communications. It's the channels you use. Joe does very serious work with people's financials. He doesn't need to go and do marketing and communications that's joking and frivolous and playful. But he also can't be so serious that people don't pay attention. So he has to think about his brand voice and use it appropriately. Not just in the words he uses, but how he communicates and how he gets to those individuals. At the end of the day, you only want people who are actually very, very interested and excited about your product or service to pay attention to your marketing. The worst thing anyone can ever say to you, and I get flack about saying this from Tim all the time, is if you tell me your client is everybody, I want to slap you. Your client isn't everybody. Your client isn't even females 20 to 50. It's not even client females 20 to 50 that are college educated that make a certain number of dollars per year. It's deeper than that. It's what is it about your product or service that is so interesting to them in their lifestyle. The groups they're associated with, the things they do for fun, the things they do that makes their job easier. Things that make sense to a person's life is where you focus who your audience is. The problem is, everyone wants to be everything to everyone, right? Love our brand. Everybody love our brand. It sounds like a great concept. I can't tell you how many times a client tells me, I want everyone to love it. I want everyone to know about it. It's fine if everyone knows about it and loves it. It's not fine to spend your budget, which is your budget is economics and effort, to get in front of people who don't know, don't need to, or will never utilize your product. People who have no use for what you do. It's a waste of time and money to try to get in front of them, so everybody loves our brand. Ultimately, all of these things, about talking about your brand, about the channels you use, the style in which you do it, this is all the newest buzzword in marketing, content-based marketing. Right? We're all telling stories now because it's content-based marketing. But what content-based marketing really is storytelling. It's public relations. It's community relations. It's special events. It's anything that you do in order to put yourself in front of an audience who might connect. Social media is a great example of that, but even that has subsets, right? Is the audience of Snapchat the same as on Facebook? No. Or Instagram? Or whatever Instagram's doing now with Snapchat? Right? These things are all different. How you take the message to them affects how they receive it. So, again, don't spend a lot of time on Snapchat if your target isn't on Snapchat. Even though Snapchat is a great way to tell your story. So, it's a balance of understanding your story, telling your story, and then understanding the channels in which you get it to the people most likely to engage you. Don't worry that how many billion people are on Facebook if your audience is on Facebook. So, I'm going to give you a couple of examples. works if it's true, if it's simple, and it's consistent. Okay? I keep going back to the word true, because if you create, as a marketing team, if you create this robust story, this fantastical way that your product or service came about how your business did something magical in a time where everyone was depressed, some story that you just make out of thin air, where you take a little bit of truth and you make this much of a story out of it, that story will eventually fall apart. It has to be true. Now the flip side is what you're going to tell me, right? My story is boring. Well, everyone thinks that, but that's not true, because human beings, again, are wired to focus on truth. And we don't want to be sold. And if your story, you're working in a story form, if you're trying to convince people to do things with your business for the right reasons, but you're not telling them the right reasons, you're pushing them away just as hard as the hard tactics of the used car salesman. Okay? So it has to be true, it has to be consistent. This is where I see a lot of brains fall apart, is they want to tell their story and do communications that are relationship-based, but also hard sell, and also get into channels and avenues they shouldn't be, and also do things on the side that doesn't make sense to the story. That detracts from what you're building in a relationship, because the people you're trying to build a relationship with see that. It's also a waste of your budget, time, and effort. So, why are you spending time and effort and cost in places that aren't building your core message for the audience most likely to connect? That makes sense. Is there any reason you wouldn't want to? Is there any reason you would want to connect with people who will never engage you? Right? No. Come on, you guys. You guys got to help me out here. You guys, I see shaking heads. Say yes. Yeah. There you go. Don't do that stuff. Why would you do that stuff? So here's a great example for you that I handle on a daily basis. And I hope these examples will show you the thought process that should go into how you build relationship-based marketing. Okay? Two of the clients that we manage everything for, we manage their brand. Rococo's Restaurant. I think most of you know Rococo's Restaurant, right? I saw you there yesterday drinking a martini. Rococo's Restaurant. The popularity of the restaurant, the food is great, the service is great, everyone loves Chef Bruce. And Chef Bruce is from the East Coast. It's an East Coast style restaurant. Everyone comes into Rococo's and says, is Chef Bruce here? Chef Bruce is the selling point of Rococo's, right? He's an interesting fellow. He's loud, he's colorful, he wears chef pants every day that are brightly colored. Everyone knows it. He's a little, slightly crude in his humor. Likes to joke with people. He calls ladies he knows beer or hum. Some people comment about, oh no, it's how he tells everyone is dear to him. Thank you for coming in tonight, dear. Good to see you, dear. It's how he speaks. If you know him for 5 minutes, you'll see it from him.
I love him.
Right? People love him. When I tweet, when I Facebook, when I write ads, when we plan videos, I have to think about Bruce. I have to talk like Bruce. He also says wicked awesome, because he's from the East Coast, right? When I tweet, if Diana said, I went to Rococo's, it was so great last night, I'll tweet back, thank you so much, dear. Because that's Bruce. We also joke around. The brand is, it's fine dining. We have fun because Bruce is a fun, gregarious guy. The Rococo's crab cake is the big thing in the menu. It has its own Twitter and Instagram and Facebook. It's a funny little crab cake. It tells jokes. It talks about other crab cakes in town. It tells you to go here and do this. And it loves Bruce. Bruce is the boss. He talks about Bruce a lot. It still fits the brand attitude. And it fits our audience because our audience are on these channels because we do have a broad audience. But on Instagram, focus on food. Pictures, right? On Facebook, we focus on talking about what we do in the way Bruce would say it. It shouldn't sound like me. It shouldn't sound like a marketing team. It should sound like Bruce. On Twitter, it's a little bit more banter. It's a little bit back and forth. We tell some jokes. We have some fun. There's a lot of it. Great to see you the other night, Holly. And of course, there's a standard. We have this event this weekend. Please come. The other client that I manage through Complete Brand is a nonprofit in Southwest Oklahoma called the Tipton Children's Home. It's a home for children. It's an orphanage. It's a much more serious organization. It's run by the Church of God in Tipton, Oklahoma. Tipton's a small little town 50 miles due west of the line. Their communications are a lot more direct and serious. They're also extremely honest. We show the kids. We talk about the kids, what they're doing, what's going on. We don't solicit on them. And that's intentional. We plan that. We're not out there on Twitter saying, please give to us. Does it feel good? It's not their mode of operation. Even when we show the fun stuff the kids do, we present it as, we created this opportunity for the kids this week. Yesterday, they all went to the water park for back to school. They do it every year. We talk about it's an annual event, and then a local person sponsors it. They come out of their pocket. It's a serious delivery of the pictures of the kids having fun. That attitude, the style of delivery, we actually don't use Twitter for the Tipton Home. They don't have Twitter account. I promote them on Twitter to go there myself. They don't have a Twitter account. It doesn't make sense for them. They do have a Facebook page. Their Facebook page has a huge following because we show the kids, the campus, success stories, and we have a huge group of alumni that we went out and found and got them onto the Facebook page to talk about their experience when they lived there and what it did for their lives. It's a completely different approach with Tipton Home and Recoveries because we pay attention to the brand voice. And we tell a story. We never say, go write us a check. And we do say, come have dinner at Recoveries, right? But we don't tell you because those other restaurants suck. We tell you the great stuff that we're doing, and it's fun and interesting. It's not because it's fine dining, it's because it's a fun experience. That's how we talk about Recoveries. The consistency in each of these brands and their message and the delivery channel all make sense. If we were on Twitter telling jokes about the Tipton Home, it wouldn't make sense, right? If Recoveries became too serious and people came in expecting buttoned up, fine dining fare, Bruce come out in his loud pants and hey, how's it going today? Good to see you, pal. The expectations wouldn't be reality. So, as the manager of the brand, I have to have that in my head at all times. I've got Bruce training. Sometimes he asks me, call me, hey, I'm about to see this tweet out, and it's a little rude. Joke, but it may be pushing the edge. Sometimes I tell him yes, sometimes I tell him no. He understands he has to protect his brand. There's a lot of stuff I would love to be doing for the Tipton Home that the people that run it say we don't feel comfortable doing it. And so I don't because it doesn't reflect their values. These are two examples of how storytelling about what's truthful, even if it seems boring, and consistency in tone, language, delivery channel create substantive value for those organizations. Does that make sense?
Is there ever a time that you would say a client like the Tipton Home, you have some great ideas for them, some things that would elevate them, but they're not comfortable with it. So if you ever try to talk them into, hey guys, if we really look at this, we can change your image and grow our base or...
Yes. Okay. The best example is the executive director does, I don't care about it. I don't care. I said, when we start it up, let me show you what we can do. Let me show you how it pays off. Every meeting we have, he likes to still jab me and say, Facebook hasn't written me a check. But it's not what it's about. It's about creating substance. I guarantee you, someone who's donated to me in the last year, however they found out about it, an email, someone told them, they saw something, saw it on the news, Googled it, went to that Facebook page. The Facebook page is blowing up because of organic material telling the story of what's really happening. And you could consider a very uptight subject. These are young people who have really nowhere else to go and come here because this is a safe place for them. It's still not perfect. We would all like our young people to live with their parents and have a great, stable home life, right? The Tipton Home provides a service that is essential, but it's not fun that they have to do it. But they have the kids there, so it has to be. be a place for kids to grow up. Another thing about that was, the first day I met them, they said, we're in the middle of nowhere. No one wants to come out here to Tipton. Now, the drive out, and I'm joking to address this too, when I took the video crew out there, they were like, this is awesome out here. We're in the middle of nowhere, right? We're out in the country, fresh air, beautiful blue skies, big pillowy clouds. And I said, no, that's not a weakness. You're in the middle of nowhere. It's a strength that you're a rural community with rural small town values. Do you think the people in Oklahoma get it when we say we have rural small town values? To raise these kids in the church, in FFA, in small town America, it has great values. It's something they saw as boring, as no one wants to know about Tipton, Oklahoma. And it's a small town. I got one stop. It's very small. But what they thought would be boring or not essential, I found it extremely interesting. Because I love small towns. I'm an Oklahoma guy. I love small towns. And when I say rural small town values, what picture do you all have in your head? You know what I'm saying, right? I don't have to explain it to you. If that didn't make sense to you, if you're like, I live in New York, I don't care about small towns, you're not the audience. You're never going to support the Tipton home. Because you're not going to connect to them in the right way. Someone from Oklahoma who understands small towns and those values will connect to that by saying a simple phrase like that. But your brand story, if it's true, and don't think it's boring, but add it all in, it makes a story that makes people connect. So every time I talk about marketing, it doesn't matter what the actual topic is, I get back to Apple. Because the folks at Apple are genius marketing. Absolute genius. But think about this. When's the last time you saw a price in an Apple commercial? You got to dig 7 or 8 clicks down on the web page to find a price. They don't sell a price. They sell the lifestyle that is the Apple products. One of my favorite commercials from Apple is around Christmas. Whole 1-minute commercial, first 25 seconds, all the family are doing all the Christmas stuff because everyone's home at grandma's. There's a kid on his phone. Buried in the phone. And you didn't even know what this was a commercial for. By the end of the commercial, and there's no voiceover, there's no one talking, the kid takes his phone, plugs it in the TV, and shows the video we made at the weekend. And everyone. And it's
I think GE's doing a good job.
GE's doing it.
Because they're not really selling the product, they're selling this is the wonderful place to work.
Exactly. Because their product line is so broad, and a lot of it's B2B, and so great place to work, great community entity. These are things that make people want to work or engage or do things with GE, right?
I think Hallmark is another one that's really good.
Makes perfect sense, doesn't it?
They have those-
The reason you buy cards and gifts, it's because you have an emotional relationship with someone, so they need to tell you about an emotional relationship, right? Nike does a great job. It's very often, you never see Nike commercials with a price. The Olympics, they're not going to tell you the times and the speed and who finished. They're going to tell you, they're going to do that story of our next event. This athlete came from a hard background and he came up through to defeat the odds. And he's here on the Olympic stage, and here we go. And before the race starts, you're sitting there bawling. Oh, that's so great! Right? They're tying you to a very specific event with an emotional story that you can relate to, that you can connect to, right? And actually, in Bud Light right now, we're running this fake campaign for the Bud Light party. If you notice, they're making fun of the campaign, which deserving to be mocked right now, right? The campaign process, they're talking about all this stuff. They don't say it's delicious. They don't say drink it. They don't say buy it. They don't say have a party. They're just, we're Bud Light and we're in this with the rest of you, and we all think this is a big joke. We can connect to it. So, pretty basic consumer model. Can do the same
Another one
thing.
that I thought was related to Bud Light, but was just regular Budweiser when they had the commercial about the guy who went out to the party, and then his dog was at home, and he stayed somewhere overnight instead of driving home drunk.
Right. His dog was waiting for him, and
Yeah,
he came
and
back.
I don't know that this guy have a rep, but you think it's gonna go the other way, and then the guy shows up the door and he's like, "Sorry, buddy, I was stick out late partying, wanted to be safe, I'm here now, whatever.
So they emotionally sucked you in like a sad dog, and then delivered the story, which was, don't drink and drive. Emotional response is never impact. And you remembered it, and then now it makes you want to tell it again. If your marketing is relationship-based, you're telling your story and not focused on today's sales and this week's sales, but telling that story the way Apple does, the way that Nike does, then you create relationships. So as communication professionals, it's up to us to keep the level of ethics and standards and professionalism up. There will be times you want to do things your boss says no, it's because we don't have budget, or I just don't agree, whatever. If they want to be dishonest, if they want to go places that you know as a human being they shouldn't go with their communications, if they want to tell you that they can cure cancer, they can't. It's your job to tell them, not no, no. And if they say you'll do it or else, please, don't call me and I'll find you another job. That, we have 1 minute for you. And if we go over, I'll hang out and talk to anyone if you want, if you have questions. I know I rambled and put a lot of stuff in there. But again, speak it randomly, speak consistent, be true, and build for the future, don't build for today, and your brand will become something so strong you can't shake. Thank you guys.
Just have one question. I'm the guy that you probably want to smack in the face because I really think my customer is everybody.
Then I want to hit you.
So that's why I
They did, you moved away from
So I should start with my core message and then build from there, and that'll kind of help me zone in on my client.
You start with you. What are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? That's number one. Honest strength. No, you're not educated. Honest strength. Your weaknesses, your honest weaknesses. Because then the second thing you do is you look at your competition. What's your position versus the competition? Their strengths and their weaknesses and how these all match up. Somewhere in this collection of your strengths and their strengths, there's a spot that your competition isn't, but you are. And there's a spot that you're weak, but their strengths are right there. You let them have it. If there's a spot you're weak in and they're great at it, you write that demo off. That's theirs. And that's theirs over here. But right here in this sweet spot, which is my best strength, my best thing I do, that's true to my brain and how I deliver and truthful, I'll go up here instead of anyone. That's your position. Now that you understand position, you know how to move forward because you know how you're doing it. So your strength is the first step. Now you have to find someone who connects with your strength. If they connect with the thing you're weak at, write them off.